A very good morning to all our dear viewers outside there. Welcome to another edition of The Other Perspective, which takes place every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. East African time. The Other Perspective is brought to you by Alliance Finance Monitoring, which is a political finance watchdog in Africa. My name is Abel Eseru, and I'm going to be today's moderator. Before we proceed, I would like to encourage all of us there following the show to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is ACFIM Uganda, and also like our Facebook page, which is ACFIM, and our Twitter handle, which is ACFIM UG. Last week on Friday, Uganda legislators elected Right Honorable Annette Among as the new Speaker of the 11th Parliament. She replaces the late Right Honorable Jacob Olanya, who passed away on Sunday, 20th March 2022. May his soul rest in peace. Olanya was elected the Speaker of Parliament earlier last year, 2021, around May, and he has barely been in the office for about 10 months, and he passed on. So the Constitution of Uganda mandates that before any business is conducted in the Parliament, there should be a speaker, and the office fell vacant when the Speaker of Parliament passed on Sunday, 20th March 2022. So it required that the new speaker should be elected, and on Friday, Ugandans legislators elected a new speaker, and they also elected the new deputy speaker, who is Right Honorable Thomas Taeba, who was formerly the government chief whip. The new leadership comes at the time Ugandans are grappling with very many challenges. One of them, which is the escalating commodity prices, and there are also still unanswered questions concerning the disappearance of the members of opposition. So in today's episode of The Other Perspective, we'll be discussing about the new leadership in the 11th Parliament and what Ugandans should expect from this leadership. I'll be joined by Mr. Eddie Kainda, who is an economist, and also Priska Wanyenya, who reports directly from the Parliament of Uganda. And later on, we shall also be joined by Mr. Felix Kafuma, who is a political finance expert. I know Priska is on. I don't know whether Eddie has joined us from wherever he's going to be joining from, but allow us proceed. I will start with you, Priska. You are a journalist in Parliament, and we have now the new leadership in the August House, and all of them were former cadres of the opposition. What do you make of this, and what should Ugandans expect from this new leadership?
Good morning, Abel, and I'm glad to be here this week to share with the viewers and the listeners. So, one of the arguments that I on in the public about the new team that has come up is some people are fronting the idea that it's fairly a young team that is looking at giving hopes to the youth, because the two of them are around in their 40s. So that is the message they're trying to send. But as I always say, that it's not the mere fact of placing the young people in those positions, but we have to also try to review and understand what do those young people stand for. Because if you're to place someone, a young person who is in office, and do they understand what the current young people are going through? Because most of the youths who that are in that age bracket of the youths, that they have grappled with the unemployment. And so do these two people understand the trauma that comes with unemployment, because as I, for one, I was after campus. I stayed home for for about 6 months without a job. But during that time of the unemployment, you reach a point whereby you're starting to question your value in society. And if you're unlucky to come from a home, probably an extended home, or you're being looked after by a guardian, it gets worse to a point whereby they're asking, they it's like they want to offload you. They are like, okay, we finished to play our role, then what are you still doing here? They may not directly tell ask you those questions, but the treatment that you receive, it traumatizes you. So I tend to tell people that unemployment is a stage that no one should ever wish to go through, because it really deals with your what? With your self-esteem. So these two people that some of the people in the public are saying they are giving hope to the poor, have they lived through that experience? Do they understand what unemployment means, and what policies, what are they standing for? What policies do they have to kind of deal with this unemployment that is taking place? Because we already, when you look at the package that these people get upon their retirement, is also something that you puts you into, you question whether it's worth it, what if it has been done to. So that is what the reaction I saw from the public. Some people thinking that it will inspire the youths. And the other thing was, I saw the reaction of some people arguing that it is the president's way of trying to to kill the opposition, because he's trying to send a signal to those ones that he has been talking to, that if you listen to me and you give up on opposing me, this is what is going to happen. Because the two speakers and the two speakers they were former members of the FDC. So that is also the signal that is sending. And you remember at the beginning of the year, the president, I think last year, when he was around the time when he took oath, he said he had started having talks with FDC, DP. He said he had started penetrating FDC, and he has finished talks with the DP and what? And UPC. It is only NOP that he's trying to penetrate that, but he has not yet broken the wall. So the people who have been in the opposition for so long. So for instance, the people in FDC for over 20 years, and I'm very sure those that he has been talking to are starting to think, is it worth it to oppose anyway? For how are we? Have we signed up to only be members of the opposition? So the signal that it is sending, also the message. But there is, as I was in Parliament this morning, but the reports are not yet confirmed. It's a rumor that is going on. It is still a rumor but I'm not yet confirmed. They are just reports that there is money that has been given to NRM MPs, about 5 million. I think it's a reward for speakership. As I'm saying, it's a rumor that we are yet to investigate or no, but it's making rounds. So that is it. I don't know who is giving and what it is for, but it cannot be by coincidence that after the speakership, and when I was told that, I was like, is it worth it anyway? Why would was because there are usually some cases where you think maybe the bribe, you cannot justify a bribe, but you can think maybe this one was worth it. But I thought the speakership race was a clear race that would not warrant the 5 million. But because the NRM MPs are over 300, so you can try to
And the
calculate.
reward. Some of them they give them rewards. So never know it might be true.
Yes, that's why I'm putting a disclaimer that it's just a rumor. I do not want the viewers to take it as gospel truth, because I got it about 5 minutes the time that I came here. So those those are the two signals that the new speakership race has brought into the public. But although you know there is another group of people who think there is nothing new they are going to do, because if it's one person, nowadays they call him main switch. So it's the one who determines who is going to be the speaker. You automatically know the agenda that is going to drive, because those who try to oppose him, you know, the fate that befell the former Speaker Kadaga when she tried to question the powers of the SEC. So that was also a signal, and we've seen instances whereby people they are sitting in plenary, and when the opposition makes some criticisms, people they are quick at defending the president, saying it is always the people around him. I know the president, he can't do that, he can't torture. So, and is the speaker. So that tells you the kind of person you should expect. To me, I tend to believe that the days of parliament being independent are long overgone. It's something that I don't know. I do not want to tell Ugandans not to have hope, but they would be crucifying themselves if they expected so much from the coming what? From the 11th parliament and the new leadership, because I do not see anything new that they are going to bring on table as someone who has covered parliament. Because if someone has put you in that position and is the one who helped you, you automatically pay allegiance to that person, because you know what has happened if you try to the others who try to go against that person in the earlier days.
So it seems you subscribe to a narrative which is being fronted by some of the political analysts who claim that parliament is a rubber stamp for the executive. Do you also subscribe to that kind of analogy or narrative? And if that's the case, do you think this kind of parliament, which you've just said, you just talked about someone who is the main switch, who decides on who becomes the speaker, who becomes the speaker, do you think they can have the wrath of bringing to check the executive on some of the excesses they do?
You see, Abel, the actions of parliament itself, they're the ones that bring about that analogy of parliament being a rubber stamp. Because I think a week or 2 weeks back, I think 2 weeks back, we were dealing with the report from Kosase on the Entebbe Expressway, because you know they are expanding the airport, and not expressway, the airport, the international airport, and there was this controversy around the contract with the Chinese, and in the report, Kosase had recommended that the minister has to come and apologize. There were problematic clauses in that contract, because in one of the contracts, the Chinese government is the one in charge of approving the budget of what? Civil aviation. So the moment civil aviation draws their budget, they have to send China to. Those are some of the problematic clauses. And later, during the debate, they later brought up the report from, I think, 2015, when the loan was approved by the National Economy, the Committee on National Economy, and when they made their recommendations, and it so happens that Parliament approved those problematic clauses. So, and later they are the ones standing out to try to to Brussels with the Ministry of Finance, because there some of their arguments where we are not the technical people, but you're the ones who approve the what? The loan, the conditionalities. So when they are criticized for being rubber stamp, that is what happens. And we also, when we look at of course you cannot separate the issue of the health sector from the scenario of the speaker, the former speaker, because the rubber stamp thing comes in because when the issue, the loan for Luboa Specialized Hospital came up, there were people who raised warning signs about that loan and told them, you know what, we should not rush to approve this loan. But they went ahead, and the owner had brought about this glossy picture about the hospital is going to save us Ugandans, and within 2 years, something like that. But we know that even when Parliament tried to go and inspect what was taking place, the contractors locked them out. They didn't even access the building. So you are the people who approved the loan, but you cannot even go and carry out your oversight role. So what is the public supposed to tell you apart from mocking you for being rubber stamp about? So they can blame anyone but them about how the public is perceiving them. But generally, when you see around the globe, the respect that the public is, the respect and the faith that the public is giving to parliaments and politicians has deteriorated. It's not only Uganda, it's even in the US and everywhere, most of the places around the globe. So they have to stick around with this thing, the attitude that they are getting from the public.
Okay, thank you, Priska. Eddie, you're welcome. We are just here discussing about the new speakership in Parliament and what Ugandans should expect. And on Friday we just elected a new Speaker of Parliament and Deputy Speaker, and all of them were formerly members of the opposition. And very many Ugandans are optimistic that since they are from opposition, they will be able to know how to work closely with the members of opposition and avoid so much politicking that is always in Parliament, and which makes it very difficult for them to agree. What is your take on the new leaders or the new speakers that are being elected? Do you think they will be able to move the country forward in terms of national development and fronting issues of national interest beyond their political parties?
Thank you, Abel, for inviting me to this conversation. I'm sorry I came in late. My electricity had blacked out. Now, first of all, we condole with the family of the late Speaker Jacob Olanya, and everybody is sad because we have lost a speaker who we thought would steer Parliament to another level. But I would want us to know the history of Parliament and how it's been performing, and we try to ensure that we try to understand that Parliament has gone a long way. Where it's been coming from the 6th Parliament to the 7th Parliament, the 8th Parliament, which we thought were a little bit more realistic in terms of fronting the powers of people. But when it came to the 10th, the 9th, and the and I think the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th, we saw a kind of Parliament was more of rubber stamp, and the credibility of Parliament as an institution kind of deteriorated, and people started losing trust in Parliament as an institution that promotes the interest of the people. And at some point, the population felt deluded, and probably there was this feeling that the Parliament is not representative of the persons that elected them into that institution. And you would clearly see that in most of the very important scenarios that were on board, for example, the removal of the term limit, but also the the removal of the age limit, you could really see that the parliament as an institution, in my view, did not represent the interests of the people. And but now when Olanya comes in, the late Olanya comes in, people had this excitement that probably we are coming into a parliament with a speaker that has the back to stand on to take decisions and steer parliament as an institution that steers national interest. But unfortunately, the speaker goes out very early before he even serves a term. But now the new leaders come in. We should try to understand the background of these leaders, that they're coming from the background of political parties that have been opposing parliament, specifically FDC. You've seen that FDC has come out today and yesterday to celebrate that now there are people in parliament, and probably they expect much more than what they would have expected because of the grooming and the background they're coming from. But again, in my own view, when you look at how Anita among Annette has performed, the time when Olanya was out of the country sick and preceding his death, you would see a person that was going to kind of come to a balance and take on the mantle of a parliament that tries to be representative of the people's interest. And again, when I saw the speaker coming in, the deputy speaker coming in his maiden show yesterday, you would see a speaker that is a deputy speaker that is interested in making parliament representative, because one of the things he handled was the electricity bill, but also the supplementary bill. You know what is happening in the electricity sector? The tariffs are high. You know what is happening in the economy? I think that try to bring in supplementaries and to see how we can finance some of the critical sectors or resources that would want to use to bring out the polite of the citizenry. But again, you would also see that he emphasizes, and if I'm to quote him, that is not the kind of person who's going to allow honorable members of parliament come to the floor of parliament to speak anyhowly. That is the word he used. And he emphasizes that I would want these members of parliament that stick to research, but also have a depth or a mastery of what they want to submit on the floor of parliament, such that the parliament comes from the shadow people have been looking at it from. But again, this morning and yesterday, actually in the evening, news is saturating that the members that voted the speaker and the deputy speaker have been awarded with 2,000 million shillings. Now, 2,000 million shillings, that is about 2 billion Ugandan shillings, and it is alleged, or it is factual, that each of the MPs that voted into the speaker and the deputy speaker has been given 5 million shillings to thank them for supporting the deputy and the current speaker. Now that seems like washing and then drying your clothes in mud. Whereas we thought that now parliament is coming up to stand with the people. You are getting 5 million shillings or 2 billion shillings and giving it to the honorary members of parliament. Of the challenges Uganda and the population have of COVID-19, we would not expect that the parliament or and the ruling majority party to act in that manner. Now, in the public eye, when you look at people that go hungry, people that cannot afford food, people that cannot afford school, I don't really think it was done in good faith. Yesterday, I met a group of uh, ladies, women, uh, who were HIV positive. There are about 25 of them. Most of them have families, they are widows, they have families to feed. People are at the verge of not having something to eat in the houses. Children are at home, they're not going to school. They need medical care, they cannot get it. They want ARVs, they cannot get them, right? You know, for me, this is not what I would have expected Parliament to direct at. Probably it could have been done out of excitement, but for me, I think we needed to perform better than that. But generally, I expect a lot from the current leadership in Parliament. I know my brother Thomas Tatayewa, Honorable, is a very, very strong, has a strong backbone. He's been through this, and given his experience as the government chief whip, I know, and given his principles as a as a deputy speaker, I would think that he would, with leadership from Anit Among, we expect better than what we have seen before. Thank you, Abel.
Thank you so much, Eddie. I want now to bring Priska. Priska, you discussed about something concerning the youthfulness of the new leadership. Most of them, although they are not in the age bracket of the youth, but they are appealing to the youth and they behave like they are youth. But there are also some questions regarding their experiences and competences, because there are some members in the public who think that all of them who are current speakers, they were never speakers, or they were not in those current positions in the previous parliament. And there are queries regarding, will they be able to manage parliament, yet they have never been there. Like at least the late was the former deputy speaker for about 10 years. But these current ones are just coming and occupying the position for almost the first time in the 11th parliament, because they were never deputy or speakers in the previous parliament. What is your take on that in terms of, should Ugandans worry about their experience and competences in terms of managing the August House?
Thanks, Abel. And another group will ask a rhetoric question, as telling you what has the experience of the initial speakers done for us anyway, the pessimistic Ugandans. But on the other hand, I for one know that Parliament has a very strong technical team, because those speakers never work alone. Even if they are giving a ruling on any controversial matter or anything, they sit with the legal team. So they sit with the legal team and discuss. Even when it was Kadaga or Olanya, they never simply sat in their chambers and wrote any ruling on anything legal without the advice. So they have a huge team of researchers and the legal department, so they put their brains together. So their experience is something that the Ugandans don't need to worry about, as long as the speakers are fulfilling their duties as steering the House to the benefit of the voters. Because as the mantra that is going around, that Parliament is driving on of late, is a people's parliament. So the issue of experience is it's something they could probably worry about, but Parliament has a huge legal team. And of course, you remember also the Attorney General also is the lawyer to government. So in case they need any legal advice or technical, and they have all these ministries and everything, so they are going to give them advice. It's all about them, the two members being people who are willing to listen to that advice. But the issue of experience, there are systems in place. As long as they allow the systems to work, there are systems in place for Parliament to ensure that the two speakers steer the House to the expectation of Ugandans. So the experience issue, they don't really need to worry about it, because government has a really able team of technical people in every field, be it technology, be it what they can consult, and they also have contracts. So if anything becomes technical, they can always hire consultants. So that is it.
Thank you so much. We are going to go for a brief break, and then we shall return.
Welcome, my people. A cup of coffee, please. There is tea, everything. The snacks are on the way.
Your thanks, but the reason that's why we are here, our people need to improve the services. We at least need an ambulance at every center three.
My sub-county is the farthest. We used to depend on the former MP's vehicle, but when he lost his elections, he took away his vehicle.
Of course.
So what does that mean?
Use your budget as a district to procure the ambulances.
Oh, if I could, I would. But unfortunately, government operates differently.
I'm saying, Chairperson, this is very serious and urgent.
Yes. I know. And why are they called local leaders then?
Local government.
You people, who sent you here?
I know, of course. We are concerned citizens who are watching people dying every day.
We've lost our beloved ones just because of poor health services.
Something has to be done.
You are right. Something has to be done, and very fast. That's transport for you. Go back.
But
All your concerns are taken care of. I will handle.
But
Have a
Chairman,
safe journey.
Thank you so much.
but this man seems to undermine our cause as to why we're here.
No, don't misunderstand me. This is just transport. No strings attached.
Chairman, we came here to discuss and find solution to our problems. But it seems you don't want to engage with us. Let's go and mobilize people, and you'll see how serious we are.
Good citizens, let us always hold our leaders accountable. Leadership is a service, not a privilege.
Contribute today at www.politicalfinanceafrica.org/donate. Together, we can contribute towards enhancing democracy as a viable system of governance in Uganda. Contact us at acfim@politicalfinanceafrica.org or at
Welcome back from that brief break. We are discussing about the new speakership in the 11th Parliament and what Ugandans should expect from them. This is the other perspective, which is brought to you by Alliance for Finance Monitoring, a political finance watchdog. This program runs every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. East African time. Before we went for break, Eddie and Priska were giving us their insight about what Uganda should expect from this parliament. And I want to bring Eddie on board. The parliamentary scorecard studies conducted by African Leadership Institute revealed that the attendance of plenary by members of parliament has always been low, especially when it comes to looking at the matters of national importance. And it seems even in this very 11th parliament, we are still seeing scenarios where members of parliament are not attending so much in terms of plenary. Do you think this current leadership can do anything to change this kind of absenteeism in terms of attendance?
Thank you, Abel. Now, we need to know how Parliament conducts its business. One of the means through which approaches through which Parliament conducts business is plenary, but most of the issues that are discussed in plenary sessions are issues that have been substantiated at a committee level. You shall notice that most of the honorable members of Parliament have committees where they sit, And for me, the enormous work of the member of parliament is dependent on his or her contribution in the committees. When they agree on issues that have been discussed in the committees, they shall then submit them on the floor of parliament.
I think we have lost Eddie. Priska, maybe you can build on what Eddie was trying to say. These things of members not all that attending plenary and some of them are said they do attend committee sessions and not plenary sessions. What is your take on that? And do you think this new leadership can do something to change that?
Thanks, Abel. Actually, the debate on the poor attendance of MPs has been on for a long time, but it speaks more to the campaign that ACFIM has been doing on the dangers of the commercialization of politics. It rotates around that because the moment the MPs, you know that ACFIM has been doing research for a long period of time on the money that the MPs spend during campaigns. And the moment they get into parliament, they want to recoup back that money. And for the times I've covered parliament since 2016, warning, the attendance is usually always excited. There is always excitement among the new MPs because usually, the return rate is usually low. So there is always excitement among the MPs to attend. And the reason as to why the attendance numbers are sometimes high is because they've just received that money and they're now trying to establish businesses. They are receiving their first salaries. So the first 6 months, the attendance is fairly good. They are trying to figure out, okay, this money that I'm getting, this over 60 million that I'm getting, what business am I going to do so that I'm able to generate money for the next election? Because they know that it is competitive. You cannot just sit back and say, so for instance, and you say I will start campaigning in 2025 when the elections are. So the moment you step into parliament, you're already campaigning for the next election. You're preparing yourself. There is no time when you take a breather that, okay, let me relax. And because and on the other hand, some of them even take loans and mortgage some of their properties to come to secure their places. So that's the commercial pressure that they undergo. It could be the reason that explains. And even the speaker right now has several times has complained that the times when she tried to ensure that the ministers are in attendance, they've gone back to cabinet. She says they talk about her. They've gone back to cabinet to complain that she's harsh on them. So this is, so the speakers are also in a tight place because when you try to whip the ministers and ensure that they are in attendance, they are going back to cabinet and they discuss you as a topic. You see that. And yet the MPs are on your neck also telling you, we have our issues. We want the ministers to respond to them, but they are nowhere to be seen. So it goes back to the commercialization of our politics. And on the other hand, somebody also can say, okay, we want all these numbers to be there, but what value are those numbers anyway? Because most times when the attendance has been high, we've seen issues like, for instance, one of the things that has profiled this 11th parliament is the censure of Zakes, that the public still thinks was a trivial matter that would not warrant, because it came at a time when Ugandans were battling with commodity prices. but we had all those numbers in attendance, 160. But yet when there are issues, you rarely see the numbers. You see the chief whips of the different parties stepping out to call the ministers, to call the MPs, you come and attend and something like that. So the political analysts would cry about the numbers that are few, but on the other hand, somebody will also ask what the kind of debate, and you've seen the kind of debate on parliament, what value what is the worth of the debate, what are the policies that they are churning out. So that is also a question that you need to ask. Is it just a matter of numbers? Is quality or quantity? What do Ugandans want in actual sense?
Thank you, Priska. Felix, you've just come during at the right time where Priska was raising the issue of commercialization as one of the reasons why we are having very few members of parliament attending committee sessions and also plenary, because most of them they have a lot of demands from their community members, so they go and look for where there's money and abscond attending the plenaries and also the committee sessions. What do you think? What do you think Ugandans should expect, or what do you think the current leadership of parliament should do to ensure that this issue of commercialization is stemmed and we have parliamentarians who give their duties more time instead of going to look for other businesses and for fate doing their role as members of parliament?
Thank you so much, Abel, and viewers. Good morning. Sorry, I joined in a bit late, but I found when Priska was making a very interesting point that defines the motivation of character and composition of our parliament. I've argued before that the process is as important as the outcome. When you look at the process through which we get our leaders, you can't expect to have an outcome that will speak otherwise. And when you ask me what do you think we should be done in terms of the leadership to deal with the problem of the commercial interests that define parliament business, I think we need to go back and address the process through which we get leaders. When I say the process, I mean the electoral process. For example, the way we conduct our campaigns, the way we identify flag bearers. It speaks to the weaknesses within political parties themselves. The way politics is perceived here in Uganda, as you see, politics is seen as bread. And if it is bread, then you can understand the interests that come with anybody who wants to access bread. I can tell you for sure that I think right now in Uganda, the most paying office is the office of a politician, especially an MP. And now they do whatever it takes to be nominated. Beyond nomination, they do whatever it takes to canvass for the votes and get elected. And because the process is so commercialized that they sell almost all that they have got, they promise, they become governments, they become small governments because they even start to provide. They become parents because they start to take care of children for other people. They become doctors, they become nurses, a politician becomes anything to get elected. They become engineers. So when you are such situation as a politician and then you get into parliament, because your motivation was the commercial interests, it is impossible for you to get in parliament and perform the cardinal roles of a parliamentarian. You have to recoup your money as an investor. You have also to pay back those who loaned you to get there. You have to service the expectations of the electorate. And these take priority above the cardinal roles of a legislator. So what happens is then you have you have a parliament that is absent largely, very present on trivial issues. No wonder parliament is always full of life. If there is a controversial bill that somehow attracts interest, finance, either voting aye or voting no. So when it is normal day-to-day running, there are those normal bills to be passed. You don't have quorum. But when it is a bill that that has interests, high interest premium on it, like I know for a fact, I think you also heard that bill that there was that allegation that the MPs that participated in censuring Zake received packs. So there was a motivation for them to be there and censure Zake. But we've also seen bills where you've had almost full house, and because people have been paid beyond and above, beyond their normal payment, they have been facilitated to go there and vote in a certain direction. So you see, I don't think we have a parliament. I think we have merchants in parliament. I think we have businessmen in parliament. Now, also over time, I think it has been about, there have been about a decade and so. I think from around 2006 to 6 to 11, I think there have been about 3 parliaments. We've seen the quality of parliament significantly decline. I think when you look at the current parliament, it makes the 10th parliament look even better. But we're complaining about the quality of parliament, the quality of debate in the 10th parliament. But when you look at the 11th parliament, you start to imagine, and you are like, I think the 10th parliament was better. So every parliament we get, every term we get of parliament, you see the quality over time compromised. Why? It's because the process allows in all sorts of individuals, does not have minimum requirements, and these many kinds of individuals get into parliament, and you don't expect them to debate, understand bills, to represent, to provide oversight. They are more interested in recouping where they sold. And sadly, and that's the parliament. Right Honorable Anita Among and our good friend, the Deputy Speaker, has to preside. That also explains why when it comes to choosing who should be the next speaker, or who should be the next Deputy Speaker, the people to pick from, we don't have a rich collection of individuals to pick from and have a formidable parliament. Back to you.
Thank you, Felix. I will bring you back because there's a rumor currently which is being fronted by some people that the current NRM MPs in Parliament received about 5 million each as a token of appreciation for electing the speakers who are currently in Parliament. And people are wondering why is it being done? If it's so true that they received this money, why are they receiving such money? Yet they are leaders, and they are the very ones complaining that it's the voters who are so commercialized who demand for money, and the voters are the ones who are a burden to them. Why is it that we are seeing even politicians who Ugandans should be ranking as people of high integrity and something else like that, are engaging in acts which demean not only our government but also the leadership we have in the country? Because if you find your leaders engaging in acts of bribery like that, it brings very many questions, poses very many questions on the kind of leaders you have. What is your take on that, and how does that depict the picture of Parliament?
I think it is almost impossible to imagine that certain business in Parliament can go without reward. I think it's now a cemented practice that for certain order of business, there must be an incentive. it's a rumor, but you see, Uganda is a very interesting country that usually what starts as a rumor ends up to be the truth. It's difficult to separate rumor from the facts in Uganda. And when it comes to the August House, that has already demonstrated that for it, what motivates their business is the incentive called money. It's difficult it's very difficult for me, and I'm so sure for many Ugandans out there to just treat it as a rumor. Probably there is it could be true, it may not be true, but even if it was not true, parliamentarians are capable of picking anything. So when we talk about credibility and integrity, and those two don't go, you can't put those two in the same place where parliament is. You see, we've had precedents, and I'm speaking from precedents. We've had precedents where MPs have acted greedy, have acted corrupt, have acted insensitive, have acted, I don't know what other word to use, but we've had very many incidents where MPs have picked envelopes to perform their cardinal roles. So what would make this so different? In fact, even 5 million could be little. It depends on the nature of the issue. It depends on the competing interests. It depends on the complexity of the issue. So probably it is true, but even if it's not true, and I pity Ugandan who will be shocked that they have parliament. They have a parliament that they expect not to accept brown envelopes. Remember, you have leaders who are merchants. First, they are broke. Secondly, they have debts, they have loans, they are small governments because they must take care of needs for their constituencies. So they need money year in, year out. So any opportunity for them to pick that money, whether it is 100,000 shillings, for example, Abel, we have been together in this struggle. You call an MP to attend an activity that benefits him or her. And the first, even if you put the activity at which is you can just walk from Parliament to Serena, they will tell you they need transport refund worth 100,000 minimum. So if you have such an MP, what would you expect if an opportunity arises that puts an extra coin in their pocket to choose a speaker? I think for us, the bar for parliament has been lowered. And again, it goes back to the process through which we get the leaders. And unfortunately, that's where we are as a country. How can we get out of it? We must go back and clean the process. And then allow right-thinking human beings to get into that office and remove merchants from parliament.
Thanks so much, Felix. Eddie, Felix just brings in an interesting point where he talks about that the process is as important as the outcome. And we are looking at our electoral process, how our leaders come into play. They are elected, but most of them spend a lot of money to occupy those political positions. And oftentimes they are indented while they are in office. And I don't think an indented leader will be able or will have the mind to think about progressive development for a country, because most of the time he or she will be preoccupied looking for where money is to pay those debts. I wanted Eddie to give us his economic perspective, whether the current house can really push Uganda to a progressive state of development as a country, because most of the parliamentarians we have right now in that 11th house are indebted. So can we really have trust in such parliamentarians who have very many loans and they are thinking of how to pay their loans, and they are also being looked for by their electorates? Can they really think of developing this country? Should Ugandans expect so much from them? I wanted Eddie to respond to that, but I think he has gone off. I don't know whether Priska, you can chip in as we wait for Eddie.
You repeat the question again?
we are looking at the MPs who were in parliament right now. They came through a very expensive process. That's an election. Most of them spent a lot of money to be able to be in parliament. And currently they are indebted. They are preoccupied looking for money on how they can pay back those loans and also how they can maintain their political capital in their constituencies. And this seems not to make them think so well about issues that are progressive or of national interest. Should Ugandans really expect so much from such parliamentarians?
So as Felix had said initially, that we as the process that we go through to elect these leaders is what determines the end results. As the saying goes, the end justifies the means. And so if Ugandans are not willing to give up on the 2,000, the bowl of soap that they are getting during election time, they are going to still continue lamenting about the quality of debate. And of course, we also know of the fact that you cannot serve two masters at a go. You're either going to concentrate on your legislative duties or you're going to look for money. And me as a journalist who covers parliament, there is a perception that the MPs who are usually around parliament, who are always present, are the broke ones. That's the perception we have, because the ones who have money are attending to their businesses. And we have people at hand that the moment we see them in plenary, we are even in a committee, we are like, he's coming to defend one of his clients, or he's up to something. They are those names we have offhand that we know that they will not just come for a plenary session without a motive. They will not just leave their constituency, for example, in Budadi, to come and attend a plenary sitting without an incentive. Usually there is something. So that is the perception for those of us who are around parliament. We know that the people who are usually around parliament, they are the broke ones. They don't have businesses to manage, because if you have a business to manage, what are you doing around parliament? You are the one attending committees. You are attending plenary, week in, week out. That is the perception that you're broke. And so they are going to choose between attending to their businesses or conducting their legislative duties. So it is time for Ugandans to sit down and critically look at the issues. If they are going, if they want leaders who are going to take their legislative leaders seriously, then they will have to rethink the incentives they get during elections, or they need money, because mostly that money is not even that so much. It's probably the people around who usually benefit so much. But when you deal with rural constituencies, it's a bar of soap is usually very little money. So when ACFIM has had all these campaigns on commercialization of politics, but and has issued those reports, given warnings on how it is impacting on the quality of our politics. But Ugandans seem to think, okay, civil society is just jealous that we are finally also eating. So they think that it's time for them to also eat, because now you realize how the barrier of the former speaker has been bastardized. And it's a trend that is becoming common in Uganda, whereby someone we thought that died and we thought was held of high regard, at the time of their burial, they scandalized the whole process of burial. We started from the former governor, when the reports of he wanted the house, and on the day of the burial, the Bachiga were very angry that you were scandalizing our boy, because, and there was also rumors that that is the reason as to why the parliamentary leadership was not represented, because the people from Chigezi region thought Parliament had scandalized their boy, and we are also seeing it on the former speaker also. So, but all in all, because I know our time is up, I think it will be hypocritical for Ugandans to expect so much from Parliament, forgetting the process they went through to get these people in Parliament, as Felix has said. They will have to choose giving up the commercialization of politics and say, we want people with ideas, and they have quality debates and leaders of better quality, or they have to continue getting the bar of soap and the kilo of sugar, and they end up with the leaders they're having because they are the people they voted. Well, we cannot say the election was free and fair as such, because we also know the quality of our election. But at what point do Ugandans also sit back and say things have to change? Because they'll have to make that tough choice to either continue the commercialization of politics or bring it to an end and but they cannot have the two, quality leaders and the commercialization of politics, at the same time. They'll have to make one decision at one point in life.
Thank you, Priska. Felix, your parting shot. I want you to, what is your message to the new leadership of Parliament? What can they do to restore the sanctity of Parliament as an organ of people's sovereignty? You're muted.
Thank you so much, Abel. That's quite a tall order for me, because I think they have performed a miracle if you have to improve the quality, because they inherit positions. It's the same Parliament that was there that they are taking over. But I think they have to put, I would call them minimum requirements in terms of the former late Right Honorable Speaker Jacob Olanya emphasized that the quality of debate has to really improve. And I remember in his speech, he promised that that's something that he had to work on. I think it would be good for the current leadership to follow through the promise of the late Right Honorable Jacob Olanya of improving the quality of debate. And for me, I think to work the issue of numbers, to improve attendance may be a bit of a tall order. But even if we had half that number of legislators attending, can the quality of debate really represent the August House, the position of an MP? That is one. But also two, I think getting Uganda's priorities right, I think we suffer from that over time. And if the current speakership can address the problem of getting our priorities right, what bills should take precedent, what bills should be priority, what issues should be discussed. For example, spending time and energy trying to censure our colleague from NUP, yet the country is battling with inflation and all that. I think for me, if they can address those two issues for starters, that can help us have second thoughts about the current August House.
Thank you, Felix. Thank you, Priska, and also Eddie, for your thoughts and your views about the current new leadership of Parliament. Ugandans are expecting so much from them, and we believe that let's pray for them. We hope that they deliver as per their mandate and they improve on the governance systems in the country, so that we can be able to grow and build Uganda as one unified and nationalistic nation where everyone feels like they are benefiting from the resources within the country and not only a few individuals benefiting from the country at the expense of the others. It has been me, Abel Esero. The Other Perspective will continue again next week on Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12 midday East African time. So keep with us, tune in on Wednesday, but keep following us on our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's ACFIM. On YouTube, it's ACFIM Uganda. On Twitter, it's ACFIM UG. Let's continue with the conversation. Let's meet again next week, same time, same day.